It's Nolan. What's going on, beautiful people? It's the kid J Nolan here. Welcome back to another episode of Inside the Industry, your number one source for music, entertainment, commentary, and breakdowns. Today, we've got a pretty stacked show. We're going to be getting into the so-called Not Like Us remix that could possibly be on the way. We're going to be going over an article from Complex talking about the Drake fatigue, and we're not talking about Drake actually being fatigued or worn out. We're actually going to be talking about the fans in the music capacity having already been tired of Drake, which gave everyone the opportune moment, Kendrick in particular, the opportune moment to strike and take him out, allegedly from the top. We're going to get into Drake's two new features with Camila Cabello. Drake with the Melodies is back. And we're also going to get into 616 in LA, Decoded by What's the Dirt YouTube channel, a great channel. They do a really good job of deep dives, breaking down lyrics, their whole visual component, the whole nine of how he puts his stuff together. I guess you could kind of say he's a hip hop documentarian of sorts. We're going to get into his idea of what 616 in LA was really about. It feels like one of the records from the battle that kind of got overlooked in the beginning. I know personally I wasn't all that big of a fan of it. Not to say that I didn't like it, because those are two different things. As a Kendrick Lamar release, I liked it. But as a record in the heat of a battle, I didn't quite understand what the value or what the intended purpose of it was. I knew that there was some sort of battle prayer in there where he was basically talking to God, asking for guidance, penance, and that the angels be with him and stuff going into battle, which was honorable. But I still didn't understand the entire significance of the record. So we're going to get into that as well. We're going to start out with this Not Like Us remix though, okay? Which is, we're going to say, allegedly happening. We don't know it to be true. However, this guy Demiza came out and he says that there could possibly be a Not Like Us remix produced by DJ Mustard and Dr. Dre that features YG, Snoop, Roddy Ricch, J-Rock, and Schoolboy Q. Now, that's a pretty stacked lineup. It's a crazy fucking lineup, to be all the way transparent with y'all. Probably don't know who the hell Demiza is. We're going to get into his history and everything that he's done in the industry as well, because who the hell is this guy? But we'll get into it shortly. The first thing we're going to do is pull up the video of him talking about this so-called remix, and we'll take the show from there. Y'all follow me, man. Follow me.
What an interesting couple days. I've gotten 3 offers in the last week, and I don't know exactly what I'm going to do yet. But I'll tell you one thing that I'm really excited about. There's a rumor that's floating around that Dr. Dre and Mustard got together to produce the Not Like Us remix. That will be dope. And the features on it looks like is Roddy Ricch, Snoop Dogg, YG, J-Rock, and Schoolboy Q. So if that's the case, we're going to be some happy hip-hop fans for the summer. I mean, it's so dope to see Dr. Dre out again. I mean, him popping up at the pop-out in the Houdini video and everything. I mean, it's always good when the big homie is out and mentoring some of the new artists that are coming out. And Kendrick, I mean, he's just doing his thing, and he's just great for hip-hop, and I just love everything he does. It's from such a pure place.
All right, so that's Demiza. Now, on the surface level, when I heard this video, when I heard this audio, when I heard what he's talking about, I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? This sounds like a clusterfuck of a remix. Dre and Mustard have very distinct styles. Dre don't even fucking produce. Much power to him. I know folks over there that work with Dre. But Dre ain't produced shit in like 15 years. We don't need no pianos on that motherfucker, man. The the vibe of Not Like Us is already set. I really don't want to hear nothing added extra to that beat. You talking about Roddy Ricch? I don't want to hear Roddy Ricch's style on that beat. We're talking about YG. YG could be nice on the remix. Snoop ain't been around. I know that's cool with, the Dre shit. Snoop ain't, you know what I mean? He might want to do a makeup test. Nah, fuck all that, Snoop. Stay your ass at home. Help figure out your wife's strip club situation, okay? Fuck out of here. Much love to you. We talking about Schoolboy Q and J Rock on there. That would be fire. Not sure why Ab Soul is left out of the fold. Black Hippie Reunion that's what the people want. And if this comes out in the form of which he's talking about, I feel like it's a little bit tone deaf, right? There's a lot of people out there that are questioning why the fuck Dre was even present at the pop out. And I can't say that I'm mad at anybody that questions that due to his DV history. If you're going to be talking about somebody that's a predator of sorts or just a fucked up person, you might not want to bring a DV violator out the first opportunity that you get. You know what I'm saying? We dealt with it. I dealt with it. I mean, right? It was what it was at the pop out. We don't need to double down on that. Y'all ain't worked together since goddamn Good Kid, Mad City. Dre could keep his ass at home, right? Dre don't produce. Dre don't write his own rhymes. So his addition to the record really doesn't speak to me at all. I'm sure it will speak to the grander hip hop scale just because he's, a veteran. But we over that. The people want to see a Black Hippie Reunion, and to be honest, the people don't necessarily want to see it on this record. The people being me and all my friends stepping this way, goddamn. So that's where I stand on that. But this guy here, I'm not going to write him off like he's some troll, because this Demiza guy has been around for a very long time. Damian Young, also known as Demiza, is an American radio executive, record producer, artist, and author. He began his career as a studio assistant at the age of 12, where he went to popularize numerous artists while working at Santa Barbara's KHTY radio station, including Fiona Apple, Garbage, and Hootie and the Blowfish, and later served as the head of Los Angeles Power 106 and New York's Hot 97. So he came up doing pop radio and pop and like rock. He then went into the hip hop hemisphere, right? So he went on to produce Crybaby by Mariah Carey featuring Snoop Dogg. He also worked closely with Dr. Dre, Ice Cube, and the rock band Korn. He would later on go on to produce for Bone Thugs and Harmony, Lil Wayne, and Ludacris, and he claims a hand in the reunion of Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg, which ended up resulting in the Chronic 2001 album. So, as you can tell, he's got an association with Dre. So he wouldn't come out here and throw his name in the mix if he didn't know, I won't say for certain, but if he didn't have good information leaning towards that being a thing. I don't think this guy surfaces online with this information, right? He was the fourth most powerful person named in hip hop by The Source at one point. He helped Jay-Z find an international audience, they say. They say he helped Janet Jackson rekindle her career. He helped Dr. Dre with advice on how to break the white kid from Detroit, a.k.a. Eminem. This is the same guy we're talking about here. So if he says Dre's going to be a part of the Not Like Us remix against my better judgment, which I have no say-so in this shit, it sounds like Dre ass going to be there. Now, Dre might say, what the fuck is you doing putting this information out there? Scrap it. We know he ain't got no problem scrapping songs. So maybe it doesn't see the light of day. I really don't want to see the gang up. You know, some people want to see it become like a West Coast anthem and divert away from the Drake thing. Just keep the They Not Like Us theme and just do like West West. Man, it's already been done. Kendrick handled that on his own. Fuck it. We want to hear what else that nigga got up the sleeve. And I don't care if it ain't no disses. I just want to hear new Kendrick music. To be honest, that's what the people want. The people being me. Oh, man. So that's where we stand on that. Next up, let's get into the Camila Cabello thing. Let's do that, and then we're gonna get into Drake fatigue because it kind of goes hand in hand. So over the course of the last few days, Camila was coming out previewing the records featuring Drake at her live show at a festival or whatever. And next thing you know, before her album actually dropped, the 2 songs featuring Drake had already leaked. Hearing the records, we hear Drake tapping back into accent Drake, which is exactly what DJ Head was predicting before all of this took place. He said, hey, let Camila release her record. Sometimes we like your accent. The music fan in me said, man, please don't let this nigga be tapping back into no goddamn accent. Sure enough, Hot Uptown, the nigga got the fucking accent. He want to go back to one dance, Drake mode. And people are literally online trying to act like this shit is fire. Man, fuck all that. Then he got another record with her, if I'm not mistaken. What's the name of the other joint? God damn. This shit should be in front of me. Ugly. That's more of like Marvin's Room crooner ass Drake, which I haven't believed none of that shit for a decade. When he gets in that bag, it's just like, bro, cut this shit off. Why are you still trying to do this? But you know, for the pop audience, that's what they like. Keep making us dance, waving our hands, you know, whatever the case may be. And if I'm gonna listen to Drake 2024 and beyond, I want to hear the nigga rap. You don't gotta rap about no criminal activity, no I'm sliding on my op shit. I just want to hear good sound rap music. If he ain't rapping, if it ain't Churchill Downs type material, that was a crazy verse, Lemon Pepper Freestyle, for All the Dogs deluxe version with all the raps on it. Let me tell you about my brother though. I'm not trying to hear that shit. That's just me. I'm completely tapped out on that other shit. I was already completely tapped out. I hate it for All the Dogs. And for anybody thinking I'm jumping on the bandwagon, you could rewind some fucking archives back. I did not like For All the Dogs at all. Certified Lover Boy, about half of that album is probably the last of the material that I fucked with from this dude prior to the battle, right? And I still stand by the fact that I liked Push Ups and Family Matters for what they were. They just weren't strong enough to take Kendrick out. But I thought they were solid records. Playing them in hindsight, some of the stuff does seem a little remedial, but I thought they were solid records, and I'm going to continue to say that. But then we get Camila Cabello, who shouldn't really have a say-so in none of this shit either. You're not even a part of what's going on. You're not even a part of the culture that we're even having this conversation within. You should be happy that you got your Drake verses and just go with that, right? But she wants to come out and say, it's frustrating that him and Kendrick Lamar are beefing. If only you guys could just have dinner together. Why the fuck would they want to have dinner together? What, they gonna meet up at goddamn New Ho King and get some fried rice? Come on, Crody. Get out of here. People are already on your ass, and I'm not going to act like I know the situation of you being racist toward Normani. I don't know that situation. I didn't see it. I was not a Fifth Harmony, viewer. But people are already on your motherfucking ass. They're not trying to let you live that shit down. So you might want to just let your album come out. You might want to keep licking on your lollipops and having a good time, because the scope can be turned on your ass at any given moment, and it won't be nice. you might as well just enjoy your album being out. Okay? Let's keep it there. Not only do we got Camilla coming out trying to advocate for this guy in his time of need, I guess. We've also got Kiki Palmer. She came out, did a video talking about, wait, what's the problem with being a 69 god? I thought this was all in the interest of pleasure. I'm gonna give Kiki a little bit of bandwidth because I like Kiki. I support Kiki. I want to see her do well. You know, the diva girl shit she did was actually pretty solid, even though she was the only one singing on that motherfucker. Clearly, it's for some shit she got coming, maybe a TV show on her network. I liked it. I like Kiki as an actress. I think she's solid, you know what I mean? And I hate the shit that she went through over the past couple years with that fuck nigga. Although it does seem like they may have rekindled the flame. I still maintain my stance on that. But let's get to what Kiki had to say. I wasn't too fond of this shit, but you know, it is what it is. Life goes on.
Now this is no shade, no tea. But I have a question, okay? Because I know the rap kids, they do a lot of little trickery, clevery little lines. Especially somebody like Kendrick. But I really am curious of what's so bad about being a 69 god? I guess what I'm saying is, far as I knew, 69 was something that just meant you're reciprocal, right? So if you were 69 God, what's so bad about that? I must be missing something. What's T-Boo?
Kiki, you missing everything. Kiki, do you love him? Are you riding? Cause you glib out here, baby girl. So we gonna fast forward past the whole first 3 minutes of the song and ask about what's so bad about being a 69 guy? What about the certified lover boy, certified pedophile? Whap, that fuck him up. What about that part? What about the say Drake? Hey, I like I'm young. You may not ever go to cell block 1. What about that part? Are we missing that? Is it not registering? Is the cash register not hooked up to the Wi-Fi? Can we not get anything out of it today? Am I in a motherfucking Twilight Zone? I don't know, man. It's like the nigga lost. The nigga lost horribly. And there's enough shit surfacing online. If you know, again, I fuck with Kiki. I'm not trying to jump down her throat. But I'm just saying, stop shooting this nigga bail, dog. Everybody that done had to go through his, you know what I'm saying, his whatever shit that he was putting on them, hitting they ladies up, wives up, little sisters up, all type of shit. Niggas had to deal with it. When he was able to embarrass Meek Mill, Meek had to deal with it. Then he went and then he had to go fucking sit in jail shortly thereafter. Shit could have stayed lit on his ass too, had Drake not embraced him when he came home, you know, on some humanitarian shit, I guess. But are we not hearing that part? Friggy ass nigga, he had 69 God. That's he's not saying that in the interest of just being a sexually explorative person. The exploration has moved into deviation. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're talking about minors here. Did we miss the A minor? Did we miss that part? Did we miss the pop out? Stop shooting this nigga bail, yo. He will be fine. It's just not his season. I've been saying this shit for a couple weeks now. It is not his season. Don't force it to be his season. You cannot force it to be his season. So let it ride. Because let's be clear. You fall off, Drake ain't bailing you out. He ain't gonna bail you out. Something happened with your shit, he ain't showing up. So let him fall. Let him pick himself up and pick up the pieces if that's in his cards, and let the chips fall where they may. That's where I stand on that. I mean, clearly, people outside of the culture, the Camila Cabellas, the Sabrina Claudios, or I think the Sabrina Carpenter, excuse me, want to keep this thing moving. They've got vested interest in his acceleration back to the graces of the public, but it's just not happening. You can't force it. The Drake Avengers, they want to try to make this uptown thing and ugly feel like, oh yeah, this'll do it. This'll be the one. No, it's not. No, it's not. Don't lie to that man. We heard One Dance before. We heard Marvin's Room before. This ain't that. Moving forward, we've got What's the Dirt? Decoding the Kendrick Lamar 616 in LA record. And again, I didn't know all of the significance of everything that was going on in this record, so I want to pull him up and allow him to give his explanation of what he understood the lyrics to mean. It's a lot of shit that I wasn't aware of, you know, because I ain't gonna lie to y'all. During the pandemic, I was on like living, enjoying time with my lady, you know what I'm saying? Enjoying my freedom from not having to work, trying to figure out my next move. I was launching this channel. I was rapping. I was getting royalty checks off music and shit. I wasn't on TikTok. I wasn't scouring through the net to be really seeing what the fuck Drake had going on outside of dropping records. You know what I'm saying? I was in tune to hip hop, of course, as I always am. But I wasn't like sifting through what the fuck the nigga lifestyle was. So when this guy pulled up some of the receipts on this dude and some of the tendencies, I'm like, this shit is a little bit too close for comfort. It gotta be, if there's smoke, there must be fire, which means that the temperature is rising in a way that I'm not comfortable with. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull this up, and y'all can let me know if y'all feel like he's reaching. Y'all can let me know if you feel like, you know, there's some other layers that maybe even he missed. We're only going to watch approximately 10 minutes of it. I don't want to try to sit through his entire video. That would be unfair. He's got a whole successful channel. If you want to check him out, you could go subscribe to him. If you haven't already seen the video, it's close to an hour long, but we're only going to go through some of the key pieces in it. All right? Got a story? Like to hear it? Here it goes. All right.
But here's the thing. I don't think Kendrick's rapping from his own perspective here at all. I think he's rapping as if he were Drake. 13 years ago, Kendrick ended off the Buried Alive verse speaking in the perspective of Drake, and I feel he's now circling back to do that again.
Off-white Sunseeker had the marina. Fuck a phantom, I like to buy yachts when I get the fever.
So, rapping in the perspective of Drake, he says Off-White Sunseeker. Now, this would be in reference to one of Drake's close friends, Virgil, who not only had the designer brand Off-White, but also, during a 2022 Louis Vuitton fashion show, the background music for that show was an album by Tyler, the Creator, called Sunseeker. And this was Virgil's baby. This was his show. He directed it. And rest in peace to Virgil. Secondly, a Sunseeker at the marina is in reference to a company called Sunseeker, which is a builder of luxury yachts. But in the next line, things only get deeper. In the second line, Kendrick, from the perspective of Drake, claims that he's tired of buying Phantoms and now likes to buy yachts when he gets the fever. First and foremost, you gotta think about this. Kendrick does not rap about flaunting a lavish lifestyle. He doesn't own a yacht. He's not one for buying yachts. This is just so far outside of the subject matter in his music and what he represents, and that is because he is rapping as if he were Drake. I don't believe that this first chunk of the verse is from Kendrick's perspective at all. A Phantom is a model of car from Rolls-Royce that Drake not only owns multiple variations of, but he's mentioned the Phantom in at least 10 different tracks over the years, maybe even more.
Now I'm in the Rolls with illuminated angel. All my Rolls Royces got a different body. Facts. Bought a white ghost, now shit is getting spooky. Leg hanging out the Phantom.
However, Kendrick is painting it as if the Phantom is no longer scratching the itch for Drake. He needs to go bigger, which is exactly what he did when he rented the Ocean Corel yacht in 2022.
No one will say for sure how much Coral Ocean is worth, but I can tell you it's well north of $100 million.
When Drake rented this yacht, he was going all over the place. Like, he was traveling everywhere. Now, here's where things take a turn and get a lot darker. Following up on his previous line about yachts, he claims that he likes to buy yachts when he gets the fever, and the fever is another builder of luxury yachts. Now, this is where it goes left. The Sunseeker has another line of yachts called the Predator, and as we know, Drake has a song called Teenage Fever. Now, where it gets crazy is when we look at Drake's relationship with Millie Bobby Brown. Here she is with Drake on a yacht at the young age of 13. This photo was taken in 2017, shortly after his More Life album dropped, which had the track Teenage Fever, and coincidentally enough, the media was categorizing the More Life album as yacht rap. Now, to put the cherry on top, where was this picture taken? At a marina. Think about it. Sunseeker has a yacht called the Predator. Drake's More Life album was being called yacht rap. It had a track called Teenage Fever. He's with a 13-year-old girl on a yacht, and in this picture, they're at a marina. This is not a coincidence at all. It's not. And Kendrick drops plenty of little clues here just in how he pronounces certain words. And if you pay attention to how he says, I like to buy yachts, he's actually making a reference to Dubai yachts.
Fuck a phantom, I like to buy yachts when I get the fever. Is there more to life than going on trips to Dubai? Yachts on the 4th of July.
And back in 2015, Drake was very happy to announce that he was on a yacht in Dubai. And if you're familiar with Kendrick's catalog, you'll know that he does shit like this a lot in his writing.
Wine cooler spill on my white t-shirt, the sightseer.
So again, Kendrick is rapping as if he were Drake. Not only does Kendrick hardly ever drink, but when he does drink, it's exclusively wine.
Yeah, I drink a little bit.
What's your preferred beverage?
Just wine. Like Jesus.
What about, have you ever?
Now, there is a huge difference in wine and wine coolers. Most men do not drink wine coolers. I'm talking about fruity drinks with soda and tons of sugar. Kendrick uses little keywords like this to let the listener know that this is not his life we're talking about. Kendrick's cool, guys. Drake is the guy that loves wine coolers. That's pretty much all he drinks. And what's even more interesting is how wine coolers became his beverage of choice in the first place.
Were you drinking white wine spritzer?
I was. That's my drink of choice. It's basically my mother had a friend who I was always sort of like infatuated with. We used to go to her house and be poolside, and she used to like fill up a white wine spritzer, and she would like casually slide it and leave it there, and then she'd just show up with another one, and I always felt like she was trying to send me a message. So I've kept that a consistent theme. How we get it?
Of course she was trying to send. That's completely inappropriate.
Yeah.
How old were you?
I don't know, like 15. But
so I've kept that a consistent theme.
And take a good guess at who else loves wine coolers. Teenage girls, right? And coincidentally enough, with respect to this line, a 17-year-old Madison Beer attended Drake's Memorial Day party in 2016, and she shared the following story.
I met him actually like 2 years ago at his Memorial Day party. Funniest thing about Drake is he drinks wine spritzers, like that's all he drinks. I was like, can we go to the bathroom in your room? I was like, I just really don't want to wait on this line. And he was like, yeah, of course. And this girl had like a vodka cranberry or something in her hand, and she tripped and fell and spilled all over Drake, like all over his like white sweatsuit.
At this point in time, Madison had just turned 17 2 months prior, and this only acts as further proof that Drake seems to allow much younger girls at his parties. Madison claims that Drake loves wine coolers, and then states that someone spilt the drink all over his white outfit. Kendrick seems to have been gathering this information about Drake for a very long time, and on this track, I feel like he's sending subtle reminders that most of us wouldn't catch.
Fun fact though, his house that he has a bathtub that is literally the size of this room. And it's gigantic and so dope. I was like sitting in it. I was like, can I just lay here and like chill?
I even found some footage of this exact Drake Memorial Day party where you can tell that the women in attendance, to me, don't really look like grown women. I mean, come on, guys. Like, I'm a fair man, but like, I'm not even assuming here. Like, these are clearly teenagers, right? And when he talks about wine coolers, he's talking about shit like this. Following up on the previous line, Kendrick writes for Drake by calling himself a sightseer, which is exactly what Drake was doing in 2022 when he rented that $50 million yacht. Here he is in St. Bart's at a New Year's Eve yacht party, and what we can easily conclude about this party is that teenage girls were definitely in attendance because there's clear evidence of this happening.
I got back from St. Bart's on Monday. Basically, it was an after party that we got invited to. It was on the Vava. So many cool people there. We talked with Drake for a little bit.
This girl was born on February 5th, 2004, which would mean she was only 17 years old during this yacht party.
I was just in St. Bart's with Drake and like 150 supermodels, innit?
And I think that Kendrick knows something about these parties. I do.
Trifecta, money, morals, and culture, that's my leisure.
In the second line, Kendrick says trifecta, money, morals, and culture, that's my leisure. And again, this has nothing to do with Kendrick as he continues to rap as Drake here. First off, the definition of a trifecta pertains to gambling on horses, where to win, you need to guess the 3 winning horses in order. That means that in the case of this line, money would come first, morals would come second, and culture will be last. This is how we can easily rule Kendrick's own perspective out, as money is definitely not his first priority. Again, it's little things like this where it's clear to me that he's not rapping from his own perspective here.
Really, money really don't make me. I'm learning that now. You know, that's not really my peace of mind, having money.
In the case of the line as it pertains to Drake, money is seemingly at the forefront of everything that he does. He's willing to put aside morals and culture to get it. This explains why morals and culture come in second and third place within the trifecta. At the end of the day, those two things will never really matter for Drake, as money will always dictate his every move regardless. So I mean, when we look at a trifecta by definition, like what it means, the line makes literally no sense pertaining to Kendrick.
My visa, passport tatted, that's your hub in Ibiza.
Once again, I'm not sure how this would ever pertain to Kendrick, as he never raps about shit like this, and there's no documented proof that he has ever been to Ibiza. Not only that, Ibiza is known as the party capital of Europe, which doesn't really seem to be a place that fits into his lifestyle. When we look at how Kendrick structured and set up this first verse, it only makes sense from Drake's perspective, as he was in Ibiza on that exact same yacht. And Drake has referenced Ibiza in his music many, many times.
Grab by Lizzo, bring her to Ibiza. Appealing Ibiza, so what? She took dick in Ibiza. We went to Ibiza.
And this whole infatuation with Ibiza, for Drake, this is new. He never talked about it before in his music. It's only these recent years where he's been bringing it up a lot. It's almost like Ibiza has become Drake's new favorite hub, and if you listen to how Kendrick enunciates this line, that's exactly what he says.
That's your hub in Ibiza, your hub in Ibiza.
And I don't know why Drake loves Ibiza so much, but maybe Kendrick does. And again, in very recent times, Drake referenced a tatted passport in his music.
My visa, passport tatted. I tatted your passport up.
So this all ties and flows perfectly together in reference to Drake and how he lives his life, and given the fact that Kendrick rapped from Drake's perspective on Buried Alive, and this track is called 616 in LA, which was the date that they first met and the concept of that record, Kendrick is doing the same here. And the concept of the Buried Alive track is just as important for Family Matters, which we are doing next.
Luke Cali's dwellings in Brooklyn just to book me some pizza.
Kendrick continues to replicate the subject matter that Drake showcases on these timestamp records. If you heard Drake say a line like this straight from his mouth, you wouldn't second guess it, as it fits perfectly into the style of his pen.
Eating like I'm seated at Swiss Soto and Yoso's. Catering is from Giorgio Bardi, Robin's favorite.
He nailed it. It is bang on how Drake raps on these tracks. Bang on.
Luke Cali's dwellings in Brooklyn just to book me some pizza.
It's just the way he enunciates shit is very cryptic. Like, he doesn't even say pizza. He says pizza.
Just to book me some pizza.
And book me some pizza is weird too. Like, there's shit in here that Drake is only gonna get. And on Euphoria, remember, Kendrick said that he hates the way that Drake sneak disses people.
I hate the way that you sneak diss. If I catch flight, it's gonna be direct.
And what Kendrick means by that is Drake will diss someone and only his intended target will pick up on it. And due to the fact that Kendrick is mirroring his style and writing from Drake's perspective on a timestamp titled record, this first verse is riddled with shots at Drake that only he understands. And that's why the beginning of this record doesn't even sound like a diss, because he's writing in the style of Drake. There's no clear shots to us, but he's dissing Drake the way that Drake disses. And because Drake has been at this pizzeria in Brooklyn before, this is just another clue that Kendrick has given us that he's writing this verse from Drake's perspective.
Bruh, what the fuck, man? Now, I'm sure some people out there probably already figured that Kendrick was writing from Kendrick's perspective or point of view or whatever. I'm sure some of that may have felt that way. Some people may have already had their suspicions on that, especially with it being a timestamp record. I honestly thought Kendrick was flexing up a little bit, you know, where he doesn't typically do that a lot. I thought, okay, maybe he was boasting to let it be known you ain't the only nigga with money. That's how I interpreted it the night that the song, or the day that the song dropped. But What's the Dirt is making a very strong case. This motherfucker here, this nigga might be a motherfucking paralegal or some shit, man. This nigga finna get his ass convicted. This shit is too real for TV. Man. Book me some pizza. Y'all know about Pizzagate, man. Y'all know what that shit was about, man. There was some PDF stuff going on with that. Book me some pizza. People already had their suspicions about him staying at the Mark Hotel because that was Epstein's hotel of choice. Some wild shit going on, man. And I ain't even get into all of the other shit, man. There was a young lady on here that he spoke about named Bella, who was also a teenager when she linked up with Drake, and they took some photos together. It looked like they was real cozy when she was underage, and then some more photos came out when she was 18. They was even more cozy. People were suspecting that she was in a relationship with him, this model. So at the bare minimum, man, it's his propensity for forming some sort of relationship with underage women or women on the cusp of adulthood that just is not okay with me. And you know what I'm saying? As a man in my mid-30s, and he's just a couple years older than me, that's just weird. You shouldn't be going out seeking those types of connections. Why? What benefit does it have to offer you, right? I just don't get it. The oldest woman we've ever seen Drake around was what's that young dude name that was playing at Sierra Canyon? Amari Bailey. He dated Amari Bailey's mom for a limited time. We saw that he rented out the Dodger Stadium and shit and took her for dinner, but that was short-lived. It was almost like he really wanted to be close to Amari at that point. Like, he saw that this kid was a top prospect coming out of high school, and he wanted to align himself with his story and started dating his mom type of thing. It didn't seem like genuine interest to me, but you know, I thought it was just that he wanted to be associated with like ushering him into the league or something like that. Because I wasn't aware or privy to all of this other information of him aligning himself with high schoolers, because that shit just seems odd. You know what I'm saying? Now it seems like it's more of a proximity thing to the age range that he sees himself. And we all know, I hate to go there, but Drake dropped out of high school. Drake never graduated. Drake was actually doing poorly in school. Not that he was not intelligent, but because his focus was in other places. And so he was failing out, and he decided to pursue music and things like that, right? So it's very interesting to me that he's finding or seeking acceptance from people around the very age that he dropped out of school. It's almost on some Michael Jackson shit, whom he compares himself to quite often. We all know that people out there have said Michael Jackson, you know, related to children because his childhood was basically stolen from him. So I find that shit odd. It's startling. I don't think that shit is cool in no type of way. And even though, I mean, let's look at fucking The Heart Part 6 and the way that he was on the defense in that record. The Epstein angle was the shit I expected. We've talked at length about the fact that Kendrick never mentioned no Epstein shit. Meet the Grrrls didn't mention Epstein. But the 616 in LA shit, if it's written from Drake's perspective in those bars that needed to be dissected closely, if he's sitting there listening to it and he's like, is this nigga writing from my perspective? Has he been tailing me? Like, is this nigga really like following my life? What the fuck is going on? Then it probably registered to him of what was going on way before it got to the general psyche. Or what's the dirt? So, this shit crazy, man. Now, let's get into the Drake fatigue from the public. I find this interesting. So, Complex says Drake fatigue was building long before the Kendrick Lamar beef. After a tough battle, Drake fatigue is high and he's entering a new stage of his career, but it wasn't just the Kendrick beef. The signs have been out there for a while. This is writer, who's the writer of this? Jordan Rose, because they put opinion in here and I want their opinion to be stated, not mine, right? So they say, I thought Drake lost his rap battle with Kendrick Lamar upon the release of Not Like Us, but really the defeat came weeks later. They say, I was one of 16,000 people in attendance at the Kia Forum in Inglewood for Kendrick's Ken and Friend Juneteenth concert. I saw fans in unison scream how much they hated the way Drake walked, talked, and dressed. I saw Drake contemporaries like YG, Steve Lacy, and NBA legend Russell Westbrook dance on stage as Kendrick performed Not Like Us 6 times in a row, and that 6 seems pretty ironic to me for the 6 God. Another layer to the What's the Dirt video is he said that he feels like 616 was also representative of the six God, associating himself with 16-year-olds. We'll keep going though. With 16,000 people? Shit. Here we go. They say, I saw Drake. We did that already. It was surreal. Not only in the moment in the building, but also how viral the concert became. In retrospect, I shouldn't have been surprised. The standing ovation that came after the bell rang speaks to a general Drake fatigue that's been building up way before this fight began. This view didn't come overnight. Uneven albums, a decrease in culturally memorable moments, and a shift in public opinion have compounded, and Drake took that sentiment and used it to his advantage. While Drake will live to rap another day, this L spotlights his descent from rap's peak over the last half decade. They say we are approaching 2 months since Drake released The Heart Part 6, the song where he effectively bowed out of this beef with Kendrick Lamar. Since then, Drake's been tiptoeing his way back. He's teased summer vibes, been semi-active on Instagram, and dropped a couple of verses that function more as memes. One on Sexy Red's You My Everything and another on Snow Day's Wagwan Delilah remix, which we've talked about before. As far as the Drake era, we in the golden ages, Drake rapped on 7 a.m. on Bridal Path, which is a song that I actually liked from Certified Lover Boy. The rollout and release of Certified Lover Boy symbolized the issues that were brewing. We talked about this a few days ago as well. After not dropping a studio album of completely new music in 3 years, 2020's Dark Lane demo tapes was a low stakes mix of leaks and some new joints. Drake returned with CLB, an album that sold decently enough but also featured a palpable decline in quality. The perplexing cover art mixed with second-tier Drake songs featuring cringe lines like You're a Lesbian, Well Me Too, which sounds like something out of J. Cole's Notebook, capsulized an area, I said that part, where it felt like Drizzy was often parodying himself. Drake himself described the album as a combination of toxic masculinity and acceptance of truth, which is inevitably heartbreaking. The project wasn't well received upon its release, and who the fuck says that about their own project? It's a toxic masculinity album? What? Initially, polarizing reactions aren't new when it comes to Drake albums, but for the first time, we saw a Drake album that didn't really stick the same way others have in the past. Yes, there were billboards like Way Too Sexy, which was a trash song, and Grrrls, 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 and impressive first week sales, but these were products of a streaming economy that benefits pop stars like Drake. Within a year, CLB petered out. Why use that title? Why use that? Wow, petered out. At double platinum, not bad, until you remember his previous album Scorpion was certified 5 times platinum within the same amount of time. The experimental Honestly Nevermind, which was absolute trash, came 10 months after and functioned as a change of pace from the stale CLB. I personally liked some of the dance joints, but the album felt more like a side quest than anything, which it seems that he's diving back into with this Camila Cabello shit. Both CLB and Honestly Nevermind had less culturally memorable moments than Drake's previous albums provided. This was made clear when the writer went to the Madison Square Garden stop at It's All a Blur in July of 2023 and saw firsthand how those albums didn't pass the aux test. While he performed several hits from Her Loss mixed in with some classic 2012 era Drake cuts, he only did Way Too Sexy off CLB and relegated his Honestly Nevermind cuts for his water break. Drake got back in his bag and delivered some quality music with Her Loss, which I disagree with. That shit was trash to me too. And an inspired deluxe version of All the Dogs. But this proved it wasn't just inconsistent music that has driven Drake's pushback. He has not so subtly shifted his music to appeal to a more male-oriented audience. This bitch lie about getting shots, but she's still a stallion. She don't even get the joke, but she's still smiling. He raps on Circo Loco, referencing Megan Thee Stallion's highly publicized shooting case against Tory Lanez, which was fucking, I don't even know how low I could even describe that shit. That was whack to me from the jump. Then he doubled down on the antics by sending subliminal shots at Rihanna on the For All the Dogs cut, Fear of Heights, which is the anti bullshit. And then the rap boogeyman came. One of the most effective strategies in a rap beef is to weaponize public perception against your opponent. Think Jay-Z's one hot album every 10-year average line against Nas, which J. Cole also tried to use on 7 Minute Drill, and unfortunately, it didn't land. Kendrick used years of negative sentiments fans had about Drake in his favor. This wasn't a Pusha T situation. There were very few revelations with Dot's disses. These were disses already in the ether. Fans have been calling Drake a misogynist for a while. So when Dot rapped that the Toronto rapper hates women on Euphoria or that he's a sexual deviant on Meet the Grams, people were more inclined to agree because that's what people were already believing. Almost every Kendrick line from We Don't Want to Hear You Say Nigga No More to I Heard You Like I'm Young were memes repackaged by Dot. So much so fans theorized that Kendrick was stealing bars from the tweets, which I still don't believe. And for anybody that wants to say that he used some of those tweets, it's only in the first verse. For real. So what about the other 2 verses? This nigga be stealing whole entire songs. This nigga be taking whole vibes from niggas. This nigga took Weeknd whole album damn near for Take Care. So let's not talk about stealing. And again, I want to make it clear, my intention when I wake up is not to be shitting on Drake. It's just that the information that's coming around today, the information that's like being swarmed in, is just years of proof, years of shit that was pretty much being gated, and the gates have been lifted and the flood is just coming through. We're not seeing any of that type of information being leaked out on Kendrick Lamar. The only thing that Drake had was a fake DV case and a fake allegation that Dave Free was the father of his son. No more evidence, no more anything has followed that, and no sources. There wasn't even a fucking source for the Dave Free shit, and then the source for goddamn the other shit originally came from Media Takeout, who we know is dishonorable and uncredible. So let's keep that in perspective as well. The You're a Colonizer line on Not Like Us works because there have been years of conversations about Drake jacking slang and style, and since Drake does have an OVO member with a weird case and has beef with more women rappers than men in the last couple of years, Kendrick's misogynist disses hit way harder. It's just what it is. The biggest indicator that the fatigue is real is the fact that Drake was really trying to win. He just wasn't effective enough. He put out quality diss records and attempted some classic meta social media tricks that didn't work. He couldn't meme Kendrick into oblivion like he did with Meek Mill. Social media wasn't on his side. While Drake was releasing AI diss tracks, writing out nav lyric captions, and uploading 10 Things I Hate About You clips, Dot was going for the jugular. And Kendrick's disses were well received because, frankly, listeners were ready to see Drake lose. Kendrick even said it in his own thing. He said, "War ready if the world is ready to see you bleed." Okay? So he understood that this was the prime time to go ahead and swing that motherfucking hacksaw. Drake's kingdom was sieged, but the embassy won't crumble overnight. He will likely rise from his hookah-scented ashes. Damn. Like some kind of Owl Phoenix hybrid. He may eventually bounce back from this battle like he did after his loss to Pusha T in 2018, but the Drake that came back from that loss is not the same Drake we will have now. He's moved like the king of rap for the last few years, but now that Drake fatigue is at an all-time high, he'll have to find new ways to engage with his audience. That might mean dialing back the braggadocious bars or pivoting completely and sticking to the melodic bops that his rap-adjacent fans love, that I fucking hate. Drake's reign at the top was never meant to last forever anyway. He's been on an unprecedented run, and like 20-year-old LeBron James, it's okay to acknowledge that he can't, he says like year 20 LeBron James, it's okay to acknowledge that he can't dunk like he once did. Don't you besmirch my nigga name in the same sentence. These niggas don't even follow each other no more. He saw LeBron at the motherfucking pop out and unfollowed his ass. Bron unfollowed his ass right back and said, "What, nigga? I'm keeping the family safe. I'm getting my son to the league, nigga." Woo! It's crazy how this thing played out, man. I certainly didn't have it written in my whiteboard this way. But we've got to accept reality when it hits us in the face, and it is what the fuck it is. All right? At this point, that's all I had planned out for the show. Be sure to like and share this video. If this is your first time seeing me on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Become an insider. Big shout out to What's the Dirt. Big shout out to, what was this nigga name again? Goddamn. The nigga with the Drake information. Demeza. Shout out to Kiki Palmer, even though we had to get in your cipher for a minute. And shout out to all of y'all that have been tuned in and helping this channel grow. All right? Much love and respect. I'll catch y'all in a minute. Peace.
King of my city and cul-de-sac. Coming, I swinging like soldier rag. Leading my people like quarterback. Boy, I study this shit, I'm an almanac. Had to get up and grind. Knowledge is booming, I'm here to apply. Came with the chip and the dip, it just single the mind. We finna do more than survive. I need my check. Spinning the block for the Gouda. We hitting the jeweler to flood out the net. We don't do beef for computers, I'm straight out the sewer. We come when you rest. Niggas be looking perplexed, so keeping my foot on their neck. No map, I trust my gut for the quest. With drama, I'm fully abreast. I was ready for years and they doubted me. All of a sudden, they tell me they proud of me. I've been dropping these haters like calories. Cross them out, I came back with some boundaries. Stand for my honor, but too raw, no corner. Packing the stick with a drummer. Wanna catch my bad, won't fumble. I done came too far to be humble.